Hello world, I am coming to you live from my bedroom and today we're going to be reviewing Wentworth, Season 1, Episode 4, The Things We Do. I'm going to be reviewing this entire episode, but it's most likely not going to be in order, like scene by scene. So the episode begins with a montage of the women of H1. We've got Liz, Frankie, Boomer, Doreen. They're going back and forth with all of the women. You hear them talking. They're all writing letters. So Erica has set up this thing, this little presentation for the board of prisons, of corrections, I'm assuming. And they're basically speaking about how their time in Wentworth has changed them for the better. Frankie's was like, people be rubbing me the wrong way, getting on my last nerve, and it doesn't work out well for them. I thought that was cute.
There's been a few people in my life who have tried to push me. Never worked out too well for them.
Or when Boomer is talking about how Frankie showed her the trick, the puppies and the jello, and it stops her from going bunta. I thought those moments were really cute.
Frankie taught me this trick, and it works most of the time. It stops me from going bunta.
In the meantime, the guards are, gathered in Erica's office, the governor's office, and they are commiserating about this presentation that's about to happen and all of this other shit. She's telling them not to mention what happened in the visitor center because some shit went down in the visitor center before this scene, but we're going to come back to it in a second. The guards are disgruntled. Everyone's tired of her shit. Will questions her about, is there any more progress as far as finding out who the fuck killed Meg?
Is there anything new with the investigation?
I haven't heard anything.
And Erica tells him no, that he just needs to trust that the police are going to do their jobs. So now there's a visit going on. Debbie comes to the visitor center with Brayden and she's hesitant about going inside. I guess she was afraid of the strip search happening again. But he convinces her to go on the visit, that she's going to feel better once she sees her mom. So she goes on the visit.
Oh, I can't do this.
Hey, it's not gonna happen again. Well, let's go.
So at the same time, one of the sideline characters, Ronnie, she was also having a visit with some chick who I'm assuming is a relative of hers, as well as Ronnie's young daughter. So this was never said, but it was assumed that Jax instructed Ronnie to bring in some gear into the prison.
I didn't think even Jax would go that far to use that kid to bring in drugs.
Well, hold on, Jax.
Oh, yeah, she calls the shots.
So Ronnie did it, I guess the only way she knew how, which was fucking crazy, okay? She has her daughter swallow the gear, and then she gives her a chocolate laxative to take so that she could poop by the time she gets to the prison.
You need to go to the toilet. I think you do. Come on, go with Annie Amanda to the toilet.
So she poops in the bathroom in the prison. I guess it's so disgusting. I'm assuming that the family member collects the gear from the poop, stashes it some way somehow, and hands it over to Ronnie, who then what? Swallows it to then throw it up when she gets to the other side. This is what I'm assuming happens here. But that shit is crazy to do something like that just for gear. Oh my goodness. So what happens? The little girl did not eat the chocolate laxative.
Sit on the toilet.
I can't go.
Get your chocolates. Come on.
I didn't eat it.
She didn't eat the chocolate laxative, therefore she's not able to poop. Therefore, what happens? The gear busts inside of her and she collapses.
Oh my god. Fuck! Oh my god, Amy! Amy!
Everyone's visits are cut off and Will is trying to find out what happened. Like, why did she pass out? He tells Ronnie, yo, tell me the truth, bitch. What's going on here? Because we need to know how to help her. And so she tells him she swallowed the gear, and she wasn't able to shit it out.
What happened, Ronnie?
If you don't tell us, we can't help her.
She's unconscious. She could die.
Shit it out! She's supposed to shit it out!
Shit what out?
So they drag her away, take the little girl. Now the women are in an uproar. They bring out Ronnie to the yard and the women let her have it. You know what I'm saying? They're shouting shit at her. I don't think they're trying to hit her because the guards are protecting her, but they were calling her all types of names. They were very fucking aggressive, very angry. Doreen was pissed. She looked like she was about to explode. Let's get back to the whole presentation. Right before the presentation, Liz catches Boomer and Doreen trying to steal some sips of the grog, which is the prison-made hooch. You know what I'm saying? Alcoholic libations. Liz stops them from drinking the fucking liquor and tells them, you know, get your asses out of here and don't touch that shit.
Oh, God, it stinks. Oh, idiots.
I just want to check.
No. Don't you touch it.
And Liz is there, a recovering alcoholic, mind you, knowing where the grog is, very, very nervous about this presentation that she has to do in front of the board. You know what I'm saying? And what happens? She walks away. We see clips of Liz and her, I don't know, guidance counselor, social worker. I don't know who this bitch was, but she's talking to this bitch who's basically, you know, helping her.
Mrs. Jackson put in a request a couple of months ago. Your parole hearing's in 2 weeks' time.
During these conversations, we see flashbacks of Liz's past, her life before Wentworth. And we see that she's struggling with the grog, right? And we see that her son accidentally drinks some of her liquor and passes out. And it's like a whole thing. They got to call 911, take him to the hospital. And it's just like a whole thing, right? So we see all of these clips of the flashback.
He drank out of this bottle.
Now we're at the presentation. So the girls are going up one by one. Doreen was a heartfelt story about how prison has made her a better person. Boomer tells her funny story about the puppies and the jello and how Frankie helped her to be able to calm down.
Frankie taught me this trick. I get this picture in my head of puppies jumping around in jelly and they're all mushy and cute and sticky.
Frankie's telling her story about, you know, how Erica helped changed her and gave her like a desire and a burning sensation to want to do better. But it comes across as flirting. Even Erica got uncomfortable at one point. I had to look at Frankie like, bitch, chill. Even Derek Channing looks over at Erica like, is this bitch flirting with you? Like, what the fuck is going on here? He didn't say that, but I know that's what he was thinking.
She's given me a hunger, a desire.
So during all of this, at some point, Liz is like, oh, I've got to use the bathroom. So she gets up and she leaves the presentation. Somebody else goes to talk.
Liz, I've got to the toilet. I've got to go to the toilet.
And then Erica sees that Liz hasn't returned. So she's thinking that, you know, she got cold feet and she's not going to come. She gets up there to say whatever it is, and then in walks Liz and does her presentation.
Judge, what's up? I always wanted to get it on with you, Judge. All you need is like half an hour in my wet cell.
Then she fucking spills the beans on what happened with Ronnie's daughter and how they don't know if she's gonna live or die, and that the women in here, yeah, you know, these programs aren't doing any good because the women in here still use their children to try to get gear into the prison, and the little girl might die, and she's just flipping out, and they drag her out and take her to the slot.
She nearly died. No one told you that. You
just had to apologise.
Get off me, Lindy.
And then later on in the episode, we see more flashbacks of Liz's life and her mother-in-law. And they're setting up for this fucking event, and she wants everything to be perfect, and the mother-in-law is trying to, like, you know, tell her, yeah, everything's gonna be great, you're doing a great job, and Liz just doesn't believe it.
Oh, Liz, come on. You're doing a great job.
See inside.
She starts drinking, gets drunk, and accidentally runs over her mother-in-law with a fucking tractor. Okay? That happened. And I just remember thinking, this never crossed my mind before, I don't think. Maybe it did, and I just don't remember, but it crossed my mind now. I don't think that Liz came from money. I think Liz grew up probably not having a lot of money, or maybe just, you know, not being rich. And I think her husband came from money. You see the house that they were living in. You see how fancy the mother-in-law is, how great Liz looked. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like Liz married into this family of wealth and couldn't deal with keeping up appearances.
I'll be here in a minute. Their fancy cars and their designer duds, and they'll want everything to be perfect.
And it will be.
I don't think that she had to, based off of what I saw with the mother-in-law and the husband. I feel like she felt like she needed to, like she herself felt like she needed to be good enough, you know, to be a part of this rich-ass family. And I think that the stress of that, if that's what was happening, like the backstory with the character, if that's what it was, then I think that that probably is why Liz became an alcoholic. Because they never really talk about why she started drinking, or did they and I just don't remember. If they did and I just don't remember, let me know in the comments down below, please, because I need to know everything. So in the midst of all of this happening, at some point, right, the women are in the laundry discussing what happened with Ronnie's daughter and saying that it was Jax that gave the order because nobody does anything in this prison without Jax's say-so or Jax's okay. So Jax comes in and she's behind the steam press, and B. Smith momentarily lost her fucking mind. But this bitch was walking towards Jax to confront her about what happened with Ronnie's daughter.
Well,
Nothing.
we were just talking about Ronnie.
And I just was like, yo, what is wrong with you, bitch? Like, yo, you need to know your fucking place. This is not your place. And Jax requests for B to go to her cell later on that day.
B, come and see me later. Got a little job for you.
So now B's all worried. What does she want? What does she want? She's asking Frankie, what, you're not going to help me? And Frankie's like, no, bitch, you need to learn what life is like without me. Since you don't like to listen to what I tell you, you don't want to fucking listen to the consejos. Because she's like, oh, she did that to Ronnie's daughter. What if she would have used Debbie to do that? And she was like, well, you know, she's going to now because I'm not going to help you. So your daughter's pretty much fucked.
Your daughter's fucked.
So B goes to Jax. Turns out Jax just wants B to do her hair because Vinny has just been released from the penitentiary, all right? And is coming to visit Jax in Wentworth.
Vinny's coming in tonight. He'll want me to look my best.
One of my favorite parts of the whole of season 1 is what I'm going to tell you about next. B does her hair. Jax goes off to the visit, and now she's in the strip search room with Vera. And so, you know, they're talking back and forth. Jax is talking her shit, you know what I'm saying? Vera's just like, bitch, nobody's here to make friends. Just pull your ears out and let me see. Oh, Vera asks her to do her hair. And Jax is like, bitch, I just got my hair done and I'm going to ruin it because of the strip search. And Vera's like, you know, motherfucker, it has to be done. So just do it. So Jax does it.
Okay, here.
I've just had it done.
Luckily for her, her hair falls back into place nicely. But in retaliation for Vera making her mess up her hair, when Vera tells her to bend over and cough, all right? Yo, it was vulgar and disgusting what happens next, but I wasn't mad at Jax for doing it, okay? And I was just like, that's right, bitch. That's fucking right. I hope it was a wet one. Jax bends over and farts right in Vera's face, just right in her fucking face. And the look on Vera's face afterwards, she was just so appalled and disgusted by Jax's act. And it was hilarious, yo. One of the funniest things I've ever seen on the show.
Bend over and pat your cheeks. Get dressed.
Jax goes on her visit with Vinny. You know what I'm saying? Before she goes on the visit with Vinny, she sees on the television his release from prison, right? And him, you know, being picked up and taken into the vehicle or whatever the fuck the case might be. And there's a bitch getting into the limo or to the car. I can't recall what kind of car. The bitch is getting into the car. And Vinny is putting his hand like on the small of her back, leading her into the car. What kind of shit is that? You're married and you're putting your hand on the small of a woman's back? The women see it. Some of Jax's crew members saw this.
Holt left the courtroom and returned to his Bacchus Marsh compound. His wife Jacqueline is still incarcerated.
Hey, check out the fresh stuff.
So during the visit, Jax is like, who is this bitch? You know what I'm saying? Just come out and say it. Vinny says that she's working for him or whatever the fuck. Jax tells him, listen, motherfucker, I deserve respect. If the women see that you out here handsy and touchy with random bitches, what does that make me look like? It makes me look like my man is cheating on me and it's all over the television and he doesn't give a shit because he has no respect for me. If my own husband has no respect for me, why should the women have respect for me, right? Which makes sense.
Who is she?
She's nothing.
Don't fucking flaunt her in public. You know what that does to me in here? Show me some respect.
He tells her that he brought her some cheese or what have you. I'm sure that there was contraband in these cheeses. And so that's that with Jax and Vinny.
I picked up some cheese for you on the way over. Extra bitey. Make sure the screws don't pinch it.
So let's talk about Will Fletcher, and Meg in this episode. So Will is in the prison trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. The first person that he confronts about this is Frankie. And he's like questioning her. Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? And she's like, no, I don't know why the fuck you keep asking questions about this, because us, the women, we know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I know one of you did it. You know, you gotta know who did it, or whatever it is that he says. And she looks at him and she's like, well, what makes you think it was one of us?
What makes you think it was one of us?
And I remember when I first ever saw this episode and she said that, I remember feeling so excited. I was like, oh my God, this whole time I've been trying to figure out which one of the inmates did this. And it wasn't even an inmate, it was a guard. So I was convinced at that point that it was a guard who killed Meg. And I was just like, oh my God, who could it have been? And I suspected Vera. Why? Because she's this timid, quiet as a mouse bitch in the prison, and the quiet ones are the ones that you gotta watch out for, okay? So in the back of my mind, I was like, suspect number one on the list for me is Vera Bennett, but I'm gonna keep watching and see what other clues they give us. So Will decides, you know, if it was one of the guards, then maybe there's something to be seen on the CCTV footage. So he goes into the fucking security room where the officer that was in charge of the CCTV footage was stationed. So Will is looking through footage and he comes across footage of his wife before she was deceased, right? And she's walking towards her car. She's in the parking lot of Wentworth walking to her car, and she's with Fletcher. So he's watching this footage and he notices that, you know, the conversation looks pretty heated, and that he had put something in Meg's hand. Fletcher did, that he dropped something in her hand. So he pays the officer to let him get a copy of the footage, and that's it. Now him and Fletcher are out on the town. They're like in some type of discotheque, okay? Will confronts Fletcher with the CCTV footage and asks him, what is the meaning of this right here? He's like, I see that you're giving her something. What did you give her? And he tells her it was her bracelet. I had found her bracelet on the floor or what have you, and that he was returning her bracelet.
What did you give her?
I found this. I was going to give it to you before, in the office.
The bracelet that we all know Will Jackson wanted to do internal searches to try to find. Then he asks him, the conversation looked pretty heated. What the fuck was y'all beefing about? And so he tells Will, you know, she was giving me grief over job-related shit, and so that he was, you know, giving her grief back, but that was the end of it.
What's that about? She undermined me in front of another officer? This is personal, you know it. This is about you and me, and we need to talk about it.
And then Fletcher tells him, you need to stop this, mate. And Will is not trying to hear it. He sees some bitch in the club. He takes her to the bathroom. They start making out. Things get hot and heavy. He decides he doesn't want to do this. She leaves pissed. He breaks down in the bathroom looking very fucking good as he does it, okay? So it ends there with Will's fucking breakdown, half naked in the bathroom. World, so that was it. Oh my goodness, fucking season 1. Season 1 was so good, man, because it was the first season. All of this was new to us, especially if we hadn't watched Prisoner Cell Block H like I hadn't, even though I'm convinced that as a child, they had to have aired these episodes in America, because I have a strong memory of this face and of the uniforms as well. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first saw clips of this as an adult after watching Wentworth, I said, yo, I've seen this before. I recognize this face and I recognize these uniforms. Anyway, I was destined to be a Wentworth lover. It was in the cards for me since infancy. If you enjoyed this video, I'm so glad. Like my shit, like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're not yet already for more Wentworth related madness. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to turn on the post notification bell so you could be alerted when I post videos in the future. All right, world, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.